Hey, good morning, everybody. It is a gorgeous Saturday morning. You have found yourself right here on Friedman Adventures, and this is the morning briefing. It is great to be here, and there's so much going on, including a little bit of albacore information. Will they move into SoCal? I don't know. I'm starting to lose some faith, but I'm an eternal optimist, so I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. Kelp paddy action. Torrid right now. I mean, not only down there on the Baja coast, but also now pushing up into Southern California. What a two-day trip the Thunderbird with Jeff Markland just completed. And so much more. I mean, there's some good local fishing. There's a grunion run tonight. Everything just seems to be happening. My friend Victor, he's back there trying to catch a surffish. So if he catches one, I told him to come on and butt in and show off his fish. So hopefully he'll come up with something. It's great to be with you. I'll remind you all that in the show description today, you can find a list of all of our charters, just a few remaining, and just a few spots on those trips. August the 19th, back on the Malihini out of H&M Landing in San Diego, and we can't wait for that one. That kelp paddy action down there has been absolutely magnificent, continuing that way. We'll talk about it in a moment. I've already heard from boats here Saturday morning that are catching copious amounts of mostly yellowtail, but the Dorado bite's getting better and better and better, and we're also seeing more yellowfin push up the Baja coast. And I do have to mention that here in the, down there around Dana, all up and down the coast, we've got not only bluefin tuna caught in the Channel Islands yesterday, but we also have a lot of that kelp paddy fish starting to move in. Man, what a fall it's going to be. What a late summer it's going to be. It's really shaping up. After it's been so hit and miss and so is inconsistent, I've got a feeling that the consistency is finally going to get here and it's going to stick, and we're going to have local boats and overnight boats and multi-day boats into some incredible action, probably right on into at least October. I think it looks great. All right, let me take you to La Paz first of all. John Granados is continuing his Mexico venture. He was in Puerto Vallarta. We showed you his marlin. He was in La Paz, had some good yellowfin tuna fishing, as you can see right there. Nothing wrong with that. We move you up now to Ensenada, Baja, California, where several of my Pongero friends, Costa Baja, you can find Costa Baja on Facebook. Arnie, man, there's Mara's down there. They do a great job. Blackfin, all those guys still getting some bluefin tuna down there. Most of those guys have put their efforts into trolling Mad Mac lures, and that has been super effective. That lure, for some reason, has been the thing to have this year, and they continue to hammer out some really nice catches on the BFT, but they've got that kelp paddy action going on right now also. If you remember a few weeks back, Arnie was telling us we're seeing Dorado, we're seeing all kinds of yellowtail and yellowfin tuna, but they don't want to bite that well. But now that has settled, and it is way more consistent. And the grade of yellowtail on the kelps, as I've been mentioning, is really superior. We see fish in the 8 to 15 pound class, right on up into the 20s, 30s. Yes, there are still some of those 5 pound yellowtail, but that bite has been really consistent. And down there in Ensenada, Baja California Norte, we are seeing really consistent, great fishing on the kelps. Not only for yellowtail, but there's Dorado in there, there's yellowfin tuna. It is all starting to push up the Baja coast into SoCal, and I'm so happy for our Pongero guys down south of the border. As I mentioned, there's already some great catches going on kelps right now. Kelps, it's a difficult game sometimes. You got to find a kelp, number one, and then you got to find one that's holding. But when you do, it has been really spectacular. Israel de la Cruz, he is a fantastic friend of mine, helps me so much in our efforts south of the border to help our brothers and sisters in Mexico, which we'll be doing later on this year when fishing slows down. We'll be in Mexico handing out thousands of gifts, literally thousands of gifts, all thanks to people like Israel de la Cruz. Well, Israel was out on the Daiwa Pacific on an overnight trip where he took limits of nice yellowtail, good hit for Israel, fishing with Opsin fluorocarbon, the 40 pound, he said was best, 1.0 and 2.0 size hooks. You can even fish a bigger hook. And of course, we mention it all the time, but it really requires, or it's necessary that I emphasize it one more time again, and that's choosing a good hot bait. It makes all the difference in the world. Choose a good hot bait, change it regularly. I like a butt hook bait. It swims away from the boat so really, really well. It'll swim away. And if you find your bait is not swimming, just spool back on your Daiwa, and then that fish, that bait, will swim out, presumably get gobbled up by something on a kelp, or if you happen to get a jig strike, whatever it is, you have a very, very good shot at that. Constitution limits of yellowtail and limits of dorado. If that's not enough for you, by the way, the weather on the Baja coast and the guys that are fishing offshore right now has been nothing short of beautiful. In fact, it's been flat calm, and there's been periods during the day where it's been like hot. I mean, offshore, I remember in July fishing San Diego, Albacore, it'd be, 80 degrees on the beach, and out there you're freezing your butt off. But we've had some really lovely weather and outstanding fishing. Mustang took them about an hour and a half to get going yesterday morning, and when they got going, man, they put the wood to it. 91 yellow, 17 dorado, 23 anglers on that one. And those 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. boats are getting good amounts of yellowtail. I should say great amount. I mean, this is really good fishing right now. Really, really good. Exceptional. Time for you to go. San Diego yesterday, fishing on a 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. trip, or actually I think they leave at 5 a.m. 135 yellowtail, a bluefin, a dorado. They are seeing bluefin. There's a lot of yellowfin, and that switch hasn't gone on yet, but it will go on. And when it does, look out. The smorgasbord, the variety is going to get even better and better and better. And the normal course of these type of bites is they get better as you move into the fall. You get better weather months, you get warmer water pushing up. It just looks fantastic to everyone who is seeing that stuff down there. And as we mentioned to you, this is not only going on in Baja, it's going on in SoCal now. There's been a tremendous body of bluefin and other fish on the backside of Catalina Island. Brian Harnell, he is plugged into commercial sources. He's a regular visitor to our YouTube channel. Brian, thank you so very much. He had a share on our YouTube channel talking about giant schools around Farnsworth Bank and outside of it on the backside of Catalina Island of mixed fish, mostly bluefin, but there's yellowtail and there's dorado and there's all that different stuff. Large sharks in the area in that bountiful sea feeding on some of those species, and some giant, big bluefin just launching out of the water. That was some spotter plane dope that he had. Man, it is so exciting right now and looking so good. And remember, we've got all our charters in the show description. We're going to sell out because it's going to be really, really good. 2 two-day Pride trips, 1 two-day Amigo trip, and then the Malihini also, August 19th, out of H&M Landing. Please jump on one of those with us. Thunderbird, to make the point that LA Orange County-based boats are getting them. They're not just getting a piece of it. Jeff had a great 2-day trip. Magnificent. Some of the photos you've been looking at here when we first started this show off this morning, those were from the Thunderbird, and he has been all over a 2-day trip. 167 on the yellowtail. Tremendous 8 dorado, a yellowfin tuna, 34 bonita, and they even had some time to fish some rockfish. Really outstanding fishing going on. I'm telling you, it is really, really great, and it is not showing any signs of slowing down. And as we move into the fall, this should get better and better and better. Hopefully it'll do just that. I even see some fly fishermen here fishing the surf this morning, walking by. You guys have any luck today? Nope. All right, well, they didn't catch anything. Presumably they're looking for a corvina fishing the surf here. There's a lot of surf action going on this morning, so I'll get into that toward the end of the report with you all. Catalina Island on the backside really looking good. There is so much good offshore fishing going on. Remember, just a few days ago, we broke the news to you with Mauricio Lopez about Kelp paddy dorado right off the coast, right off of Dana, right off of the San Pedro area. We've seen fish. I mean, there are fish everywhere, and it's only going to get better, so I'm really stoked about it. And local boats are going to get into this by the end of the year. It's going to be phenomenal. All right, let me take you back down to Ensenada. We'll talk islands. Todos Santos, good barracuda, some yellowtail, not a lot, but a little bit in there. and more flushing in there. So that should really good. You can fish the hard baits, Lucky Crafts were good, yo-yo iron, surface iron, and some good calico bass fishing going on there in that neck of the woods. Also, we move you up to the Coronado Islands. There's been some really good hits on the yellowtail there. Conditions are everything in this game. You get good conditions at the Coronado Islands, and you are going to catch some fish. And there's some really good yellowtail action. There's barracuda there, good calico bass, nice mixed up fishing, and also we see quite a bit of triggerfish in that neck of the woods for you triggerfish fanatics. And who doesn't like ceviche made of triggerfish? Really good stuff. Moving up now to San Clemente Island, got to wrestle those sea lions. I mean, they're a pain in the neck. Few yellows there, decent calico bass fishing, barracuda, bonita, occasional white sea bass, occasional halibut. Not bad, not great, but this offshore thing is going to take over here very soon, where everybody's going to turn their attention to the offshore, bountiful, excellent smorgasbord, the variety that we have moving in, and it is only going to get better. Nicholas, Santa Barbara, great weather. We're catching more sea bass out there. Pride and some guys are looking at that here today, so hopefully we'll see some. I don't know if the Pride is there actually, but I tell you what, Sean Roberts, that guy is a sea bass hunter, and he's been doing great this year, and those 2-day trips we have coming up with him should be really great. So once again, we continue to see some really good action there. And then as I move you up into the Channel Islands, I mean, we have to talk about a big bluefin tuna that was caught on the Aloha Spirit the other day. Yesterday, Sean Stewart showing off that great big fish, 100 to 200 pound BFT, really bouncing all over the place up there and putting on an incredible show. You gotta love that. They had a family out there, so they fished sand bass, caught 66 sand bass, 9 calico bass, and then they got into those big bluefin. Hard to hold on to, but they got 2 out of the 7 they hooked. That's pretty good, and it was almost all 100 to 200 pound BFTs. I am loving that. A few sea bass still going on up there, but that seems to be slowing down as we move into more of a summer fall bite. Channel Islands have been great, and they continue to do just that. All right, I do want to mention albacore. Some long range guys, Royal Polaris and some other guys, have been awfully close to that good albacore water that we have been talking about. Tommy Holland has been talking about. Tommy does so much work for us on the albacore front. I'm so happy that he is helping us out, but they've been very close to that good water. So fingers crossed that somebody comes up with an albie here in the next couple days, because our hopes are going to go like that. If not, because they are close to that area, and we still think we've got a shot with albacore biting up there in Northern California. They are further down this way than they have been for a while. They just have not slid into SoCal or Northern Baja yet, but we won't give up the ship. We'll continue to watch it for you very closely. All right, let me take you along the coast, and we'll talk about some good barracuda action down there off Ensenada, up there around San Diego, picking at the sand bass and calico bass. Few gar up there also. Dana, we see Dorado right off the coast, and they've been difficult to get to bite. And a lot of guys have been dropping down to 12-pound mono, fluoro, I should say, www.opsonusa.com, and put in FA at checkout. You'll get a free gift from Greg Brown, as well as a handwritten note. Once again, they'd have to drop down to the 12 to get a bite, and then the casualty rate goes way up. You start losing more fish, but you get a bite. So keep that in mind, and that's a tricky line you have to walk. If I get a bite, can I land the thing? And in most cases, you should be able to do just that with some good coaching from an excellent crew. I don't see any problem at all with that. So, Catalina Island, I skip over Catalina. I ignore it all the time. It's my fault. I'm sorry about that. Boats like the Enterprise Pursuit, Freelance, all those guys have been looking out there in that neck of the woods. Bass, bonita, barracuda. Of course, they get a shot at that bluefin and yellowtail every day. Not landing a lot of it, but looking at it. Freelance went east yesterday, got into a plunker bite. Guy had a jig strike on bluefin and then ended up in a plunker bite for several hours. Plunker bite, by the way, if you're new to this game, is you're hanging 1 or 2 fish over a prolonged period of time. Not getting any kind of thing that's wide open, but just plunking at them. So a couple fish going, and in that kind of a bite, fluoro, changing your bait regularly, choosing a good hot bait, those are all essential to getting a bite in what we refer to as a plunker bite. So he had that going on. Catalina, again, once again, we continue to see the 3 Bs over there. Not setting the world on fire, but absolutely gorgeous days. Some of the guys are stopping and catching sculpin, so that also is great. Along here, LA Orange County area, Monte Carlo went out, caught sculpin, but on the way home, found a late school of barracuda, picked off, 10, 15 barracuda, something like that. So that's around. As we move you up in Redondo, Marcus Fain with some really nice bass fishing on the Redondo Special, where I started my illustrious career at 12 years of age. It's great to see that boat still out and still catching. Marcus doing very, very well. Good rock fishing in that neck of the woods. Also, Island Spirit was picking at the bass and the barracuda, and kind of having a tough day yesterday out of Ventura Harbor Sport Fishing. 805-676-3474, and then tried to catch some rockfish. Even that was tough. So Cody Rogers, the captain's going like, what is up? Man, I'm seeing all this fish and it doesn't want to bite. Well, it settled and bit for him in the afternoon. They ended up with 89 barracuda. Not anything wrong with that for 24 guys. They also had a yellowtail bonita to go along with it. Not too shabby at all along the coast. Surf fishing, I'm looking at my friend Victor, not catching anything up the beach this way. Those boys have had a little bit of yellowfin, croaker, and spotfin. We're not on the right tide. I mean, we're at low tide. Remember, 2 nights of grunion left for you. Show the kids a spectacle of nature tonight or tomorrow night with some of the last grunion runs of the year taking place. Surf fishing in general, there's been some good corvina fishing, some good yellowfin croaker fishing. Yeah, yellowfin tuna on the beach. And also we see an occasional halibut, that kind of thing. Of course, grunion runs can do one of 2 things. It can produce lockjaw in fish because they are so full. They want to eat anything more. They're done. Or it can draw more fish into the beach and you start to catch more. And matching the hatch, not a bad idea. If you have some grunion, even older frozen grunion I use, you can catch some really nice fish. No question about that. All right, my friends, there's so much going on. It is setting up for an absolutely beautiful fall bite here in SoCal and northern Baja. I don't think we've seen the tip of the iceberg yet. I think we are going to see some real fireworks. All right, if you have a trip coming up, I send you all my best. I wish you the very, very best. Hope you have a great trip. Don't be afraid to send me a photo or a report to us on how you do. And of course, I'll keep you in touch with all the very latest here on the Morning Briefing. As always, it's my pleasure to spend a little bit of time with you here on this beautiful weekend. Thanks again, and I hope to see you really, really soon.